Good morning, Lewis. I am Logan Kapp along with Allie Lanquist. Thank you for joining us on this early Tuesday morning. If you're looking for a way to brighten up on this cloudy day, you've come to the right place.
Yes, you sure have. Whether you're just waking up or getting ready for class, we're here to keep you company and make your morning a great one. So let's start off. Let's refresh with what's going on in the world with some of our latest trending topics.
All right, trending topics, one of my favorites.
I love trending topics. Alrighty, kicking us off with our first one.
All right.
We're just waiting on it.
Yeah, well, you know what? Oh, here we go.
Here we are.
All right.
All right, so this was one of mine. It came from Robert Griffin III. So that's RG3. The Denver Broncos didn't respect Mike McDaniel enough to give him an interview for their head coaching vacancy, but he respected them enough to not kick a field goal to set the all-time record for points in an NFL game. They really swamped the Broncos. It was crazy.
Wow.
He showed them mercy. That's how you kill them, with kindness. I love this one. I think it's such a great show of sportsmanship, and I don't know. I thought he was going to kick that. Like, I would have said it.
I mean, I couldn't speak to that, being not a football fan, but I trust
Fair
your
enough.
judgment
Well,
in that.
basically, they were beating a team so badly in one of their games,
Yeah.
and they had the opportunity to set an all-time record in the NFL. And
Wow.
he, like, waved it off and just, like, they kneeled the last play.
Wow.
And he didn't get a
That's-
spot for any of their head coach. Like, they didn't consider him. He could have had the most, like, revenge of all time.
Wow.
But he
That's
didn't.
crazy.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't understand football, but I understand that. That is good sportsmanship.
We'll
I
just
like that a lot.
talk football and hockey later.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
We can each learn something
Yeah.
from each other. All right, cool. Well, if we could see trending topic number 2, please, that would be
Ooh.
fantastic. Oh, well, speaking of football,
Yes.
Taylor Swift making some waves over the weekend.
Huge waves.
And she was at the Bears game over the weekend. The Bears' demise, I guess, over the weekend
Yeah.
is a light way to put it. What do we think about that?
Oh my gosh, I love it. Don't even get me started. I am a Swiftie, so I didn't used to be, but I am now, and I think that she and Travis are very cute, so.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I just saw that she is supposedly left in a popcorn container. Did you see that? I don't know.
She did.
'Cause
I saw that too. I mean, when you're that famous, I guess you don't want to have too much like attention. You're always going to have it, but like leaving a football game is probably really nerve-wracking, getting swamped with all the fans. So
Yeah. Well, she makes those crazy concert entrances with
Yes.
like the mop bucket thing
Yes.
and like the custodial cart, and so I wasn't surprised when I saw that.
It's her thing.
It would be like she just opens the door and it's just full of popcorn. It just all falls
It's like
out.
falling out of her hair.
Yeah, I guess it's just the way to keep well fed on the way to
Oh yeah,
and
I'd
from
be
the
snacking in
skybox.
that. All right, we'll move on to topic 3 now.
All right.
I also had this one, and I was so excited. We had a 6-0 weekend for the Flyers over the weekend. Men's and women's soccer getting big dubs, and the women's volleyball team. They are now 2-0 in the GLVC.
Wow.
They beat Drury and Southwest Baptist, and oh my gosh, we had so many records set on that team too. Juliana Van Loo got her 1,000th career kill.
Wow.
And then the setter, senior Lauren Stenman, got her 3,000th career assist.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
This team is killing it. Men's and women's soccer, my former team, also killing it. So.
Yeah, I couldn't say the same for men's hockey over the weekend. They tied and lost, so no W's there. But that's all right. The rest of the sports we're doing good.
We're doing well, yeah.
There's lots to improve on for next time, I guess.
Yeah.
But happy. Lewis Flyers athletics doing real good.
Yes,
Love to
they
see
are.
that. All right. Well, trending topic number 3?
4.
4? Whatever
Oh,
we're on.
here we
I
are.
don't know. Too distracted by the dad
Regardless,
joke
the best
to
one.
count here. Do you want a brief explanation of what an acorn is?
No.
Well, in a nutshell, it's an oak tree.
Good one.
See, I have
Oh
a
my
little action
gosh.
there. I like that.
They'll just never get old.
No, they
I don't know.
won't. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. Does
Are
an
you gonna-
acorn come from an oak tree? I don't even know.
I guess. I'm not sure. But
I think it does, something like that. I don't know. I just know they
Regardless.
like litter the yard.
Oh, they're horrible. They break the
once in a while.
lawnmower and everything.
Yeah, they'll be flying across. You run it over, it's just flying across. End up with a broken windshield from an acorn.
Oh,
It's not
yeah.
a good time. Definitely not
no.
speaking from experience either.
But oh well. Alrighty, we'll move on. Next topic. I think this is 5 now. Might be our final one.
Our first
you have one
TikTok.
more. Yes, our first TikTok. Oh my god. He looked so concerned.
I know. Look at his eyes.
Yes. So this pup was celebrating his birthday. His family here is singing happy birthday to him, and he is very unsure. He is a nervous boy.
He's ready for that cake
He was
pop.
ready.
Did you see the way he was eyeing that up?
Maybe
He
you're
almost
right.
was
Maybe,
surprised. He was like, whoa, what is that?
I mean, that's pretty much me when I get a Starbucks cake pop too. So
Me, anytime
yes.
I see a cake pop, I'm like,
give me that.
Yeah, I commend his patience though. Look at
I
him.
know.
He's
My
like,
dog would have bit my hand off.
yeah, he's licking his chops though. He's ready. He's ready for the cake pop, I think.
I know. He's the cutest thing. We sing happy birthday in my house, and my dog gets really riled
Really?
up too. So
Do you have a fancy crown like that for your dog too?
we had a tiara over my dog. So yeah.
What
we
kind of
did.
dog is it?
It's an Australian Shepherd.
Oh.
She is so spoiled. So we had a big birthday party for her. Yeah.
Well, you need to get a fun crown like that, Burger King crown.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a cheap alternative. Alrighty.
All right. Well, can we see our next TikTok, please? I believe that one was
TikTok
yours.
two?
This one
Yes.
is mine. And it's another food one. See, I don't know what's been with me in the food. Last year, Hannah was all the food TikToks,
Yes.
but this year, I mean, look at this life hack. We've got a little bit of marshmallow, a little bit of chocolate inside the cone, inside the tin foil,
Oh my
melts it all
gosh.
together. It's a s'more inside an ice cream cone,
That looked so good.
right?
Wait, I want to try that now.
I
And
want to try that too.
It's bonfire season. So
It is. It is. And I honestly don't remember. I was trying to think of the last time I had a s'more. I don't even remember the last time that
You
happened.
didn't have one over the summer?
I don't think so.
I had a lot
Too
of
busy,
this summer.
Allie. We're putting in the work.
Right,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. I guess I was slacking with all the s'mores I ate.
I guess so. I don't know. But oh man, that's just making me hungry now.
I know.
Normally I don't eat breakfast, but after that, I think I'm gonna have to start having s'mores for breakfast.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, up next, we're going to share some feel-good stories that are sure to put a smile on your face. I love feeling happy early
Yes.
in the morning here on this wonderful Tuesday. Did you know it's one of the biggest music events of the year? That is the Super Bowl, of course. That's what I'm talking about. Super Bowl halftime show, more specifically, which we now know will be featuring Usher.
I'm so excited.
Me too. The National Football League and Apple Music have confirmed that Usher will be heading to Super Bowl 58. In a statement, both Usher said the performance is an honor of a lifetime, adding, quote, "I can't wait to bring the world a show unlike anything else they've ever seen before." Now, Allie, do you think this? What do we think about this?
Okay, well, you and I, we both saw the tweets.
We did.
Or the X's, whatever you call it now.
Comments.
The
We'll call them comments.
The comments
Sure.
about it not being cool because people were saying it would be cool if it was 2006. I think it's still cool.
I do too. I'm a huge
know.
Usher fan. You look at my my phone; it's Smash Mouth and Usher. Those are the two top music plays on my phone.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm excited. I don't know.
I'm ready. I mean, he was at the NAB conference in Las Vegas when we went as a big group, and he performed at the hotel.
Wow.
He looked great. First
Okay.
of all, he looked amazing, and he sounded great too. So like, I think this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I also have a feeling he'll bring a guest.
I hope so. I mean, hopefully, you know, he's not getting paid for that. They know you don't get paid when you do the
I
Super
didn't
Bowl
even know that
halftime
until
show.
you
Yeah.
just told me that. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I don't know. It's a big publicity thing, I guess. But it is the most widely viewed concert of the entire year
Yep.
because it's watched by literally everyone. Some people just watch the Super Bowl for the concert. That may or may not be me. But
that
still,
would be me too. Yeah. But Rihanna, she had her moment. She promoted her like beauty products too
Yeah.
during it. So like, I guess it's really smart.
she did. That was very impressive. I do have to give you
I
that.
loved her show. Yeah. But anyway, we got another feel-good story. So a Michigan toddler who had wandered away from home was found safe thanks to the two family dogs, including one that was used as a pillow.
Wow.
Yes. So Michigan State Police say 2-year-old Thea Chase wandered away from her home in Faithorn while barefoot
Whoa.
Wednesday night. Yes.
Wow.
So the police believed she was somewhere in the wooded area near the home. Then a few hours later, little Thea was found just off the trail and sleeping on the ground with her head atop the family's English Springer.
Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
She was giggling when she returned home and said, quote, "Hi, Mommy."
Wow. That's even more impressive because I can't even like go outside and get the mail barefoot or even go to the pool.
No.
Like she's walking around the forest
Yep.
with no shoes on.
Exactly. I mean, when I take the trash out, I grab whatever pair of shoes there first, whether it's mom's heels, dad's slippers. But
Well, I mean, I have to go full on socks and gym shoes. I'm going to the pool, I'm putting on socks and gym shoes. And then I'm taking them, I look like a crazy person. But I mean, I can't. My feet can't handle that.
No, but how about the dog too?
Yeah.
I'm more impressed with the dog.
Right?
The fact that it was able to stay with the little girl
Yeah.
and protect her. That is like the best dog ever.
Dogs are smart. I
They
think
are.
dogs are smarter than I am because I wouldn't have the sense to do that.
I mean, that dog, it's just the protection instinct, and I think that's the most adorable,
I think it
loyal
is.
thing a dog
Yeah.
could do. So,
You think your dog would do that?
one of my dogs, yes. The other dog would probably cry by the food bowl until
no.
I got home. So,
Oh,
yeah.
well, I don't know.
But yeah, one of them.
Speaking of dogs, let's talk about a doggone good time, and a historic one to boot. On Sunday, Paramount Pictures' Best Friends Animal Society and Street Food Cinema invited families with dogs to come see Paw Patrol, the mighty movie.
Paw Patrol.
Wow, 219 dogs and their owners came to see Chase, Rocky, and Sky, plus the rest of the animated canines in Los Angeles' Griffiths Park. That was enough to set a Guinness World Record for most dogs attending a film screening. Can you believe that?
I can't. I didn't even know there was a record.
I didn't either. I feel like there's a Guinness World Record for everything, but that's.
There has to be, yeah.
I mean, I would have been like to just go and play with all the dogs. I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah. I wouldn't even, I mean, I wouldn't really care about what's on. I would just play with all the puppies that are there.
I didn't even know dogs like watching movies.
Well, mine does, for sure.
Really? What's his favorite? What's the favorite channel?
Animal Planet,
Oh,
of course.
okay. Makes
But
sense.
She gets too into it. She starts to bark.
Oh no.
And she's actually a herding breed, so whenever there's like sheep on screen, she loses it.
Oh,
so,
no.
Yeah.
Wow.
But she's a smart dog. So.
I don't know. I think they should start just making TV channels just for dogs. It's just like a
Yes.
waterfall of tennis balls.
Oh my gosh,
I
no,
mean,
my
they would
dog
just
would
be.
break the TV.
They just sit there like.
Until
I
you
mean,
get
like the way
home.
I watch TV. Just
Mouth open. and
yeah,
everything.
mouth open and everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. But they make white noise or like sounds for dogs. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can leave that on if you leave home.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, something to look into, I guess. But that was Feel Good Flyers for the day, so I feel good.
I feel great.
I feel great. And right after this, we're going to come back with a very special guest that we're going to talk about right after this. Stay with us.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right, welcome back to Good Morning Lewis. My next guest recently published a book called Blaxploitation, Horror Film Adaptation, Appropriation, and the Gothic. He is an English professor here at Lewis, and he will be presenting this book tomorrow during Community Hour with a lecture that is being presented as a part of Lewis University's Arts and Ideas program, which provides cultural and educational programming for students and the community. Please welcome my guest, Dr. Jamil Mustafa. Dr. Mustafa, thank you for being here.
Thanks for hosting.
And I want to tell you, in addition to producing this show and the news broadcast, the broadcasting department produces a show called Conversations from Stritch Hall with Dr. Livingston and Dr. Sin. And every week they've been talking about this book. So I'm excited that you're here to talk to me about it today.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm excited too.
I thought we could start off maybe having you explain what blaxploitation means, just to kind of get a general overview of that term.
Okay, so originally it was a term that was used in the late 60s, and it was a pejorative term, a negative term. And actually it was the head of the NAACP's Hollywood Beverly Hills chapter that first used it, and he meant it negatively. I mean, he meant it to convey his disapproval of movies featuring African Americans that he thought depicted them in a negative light. So as pimps or prostitutes or drug users or gangsters or whatnot. So that's where it was born, basically, was in the late 60s and around 67 or so. And the movies, though, I mean, to be a little more neutral, so nowadays it's seen as depicting movies like Shaft. I mean, it's easier to give examples, perhaps,
Right.
of Shaft or Superfly. And there are positive aspects to these films as well, you know. So even though some of the characters are today what we would call anti-heroes, I suppose, they're very strong figures. They're protagonists in the movies, which I think is important. And they engage in what at the time was called a kind of form of black power, I suppose. So there are positive and negative aspects, and the community was very split. But they were very popular movies. Yes.
Yeah. And so your book is specifically focuses on horror film, and this is the first like full-length book that explores that topic of blaxploitation in horror films. Why write a book? Why not do something else? What was the purpose for the book?
Well, I'm not going to get the quote exactly right, but Toni Morrison, the author, once said, if you want to read a book that hasn't been written, you need to write it. That's more or less verbatim. And so I watched some of these movies, Blackula, which is from 1972, probably the best known of them, and another one from 1974 called Sugar Hill.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed them. And I thought, well, you know, let me see what's been published on these films. And actually there was very little, and there was nothing of book length. So while there were books about horror movies that mentioned blaxploitation horror,
Right.
books about blaxploitation that mentioned these movies as well, maybe you'd get a chapter at most, or maybe 20 pages or something. And so I thought, well, there ought to be a book by this point. I mean, you know, they've been around for 60 odd years. So I figured, well, I guess I'll have to write it. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, what was the message you were trying to convey with the book? What do you want people to take away from it?
Well, I'm a Victorianist, so I study 19th century British literature and the Gothic, which, you know, includes Dracula, Jekyll and Hyde, those sorts of things. And these movies, many of them were drawn from those texts from the 19th century. So Blackula from Dracula, Dr.
Right.
Black and Mr. Hyde from Jekyll and Hyde, and so forth. And so one thing I want people to take away from the book is that there is a relationship among these 19th century works of literature, early 20th century films like Universal's Dracula, for example,
Yeah.
and the blaxploitation film. So that's another thing that nobody has done before, is to draw those lines from the literature to the early film to the blaxploitation film. And another thing I'd like them to get out of the book is to appreciate how the blaxploitation movies are really responding to the times in which they're being created, right? And they have actually fairly complex messages to their audiences, and I think they're underappreciated movies.
Yeah. In addition to like everything you just mentioned, drawing all that inspiration, you've also presented at a series of lecture conferences and presentations. Do you think you were able to draw anything out of those presentations that helped you write the book?
Yeah, I did actually begin writing on Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde. I've written on Jekyll and Hyde before. I think that was 2017. So before I actually pitched the book to the press, I was thinking about that particular movie. And so that was kind of the genesis of the book. And then I worked from the Jekyll and Hyde chapter out. So I've got, each chapter deals with a different monster. So there's one on the vampire, one on Jekyll and Hyde and the werewolf, one on zombies and evil spirits, and one on the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
So, and I had also, I wrote the book actually fairly quickly in about 2.5 years, which it sounds like a long time, but actually it's not. It's pretty quick. And I think the reason for that was because I'd done a lot of thinking about the Victorian works before,
Yeah.
and the 20th century films, the earlier 20th century films. So I could then integrate the work on blaxploitation into the work I'd already done.
Yeah, no, 2.5 years is a pretty speedy
Yeah.
writing process.
Yeah,
Can you talk about a little bit your writing process and how you kind of, I mean, obviously you had this idea to kind of encapsulate these ideas and present these ideas in the book. How did you go about putting that into a full-length book form?
Well, the first thing was I needed a deadline. So I don't trust myself to just write something without a deadline. And so I approached the publisher before I began writing the book and got a contract signed.
And that was published in England, correct?
Yes, it's the University of Wales Press is
Okay.
the publisher, so it's a Welsh press, yeah. And so once I had the contract signed, I had a deadline, and I had 85,000 words due by the end of the year.
Wow.
And so then I knew I could finish it because I had to finish it. I was contractually
Yeah.
obligated to finish it.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's what it took. That's what it took to get me to finish it. And then COVID hit too, so I had nothing
Wow.
else to do.
Yeah.
Honestly, there was nothing else, so I was forced to do it. But the process was basically to break it up into a manageable bit every day. And this is not unusual advice. Everybody has this advice, but so I figured that I needed 500 words a day to reach the 85,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. So I would write 500 words a day, and when the 500 words were done, I was done, and I could feel good,
Yeah.
And I didn't think about the remaining, 82,000 or whatever, whatever was left. And I just thought, okay, well, you did your work for the day.
I feel like that's a great message, even for students, who might have a lot on their plate, to kind of break it up and set those little goals and try and hit them. I feel like that's a great way to do it. That's what I personally do as well. So that I really like that. And so tomorrow at Community Hour, you're going to be presenting this book, correct? Can you give us a little bit of a preview about what you're going to talk about?
Sure. Well, one thing is I want to make this event fun. So don't think of it so much as a lecture. Think of it as a presentation. That's a little closer to what it's going to be. I'll outline the book so people will get a sense of its contents for sure. I want people to learn a little bit more too about the time period in which these films were created. So they can see how the movies engage with Black Power, for example, civil rights, women's rights, gay rights. There's a lot going on in the late 1960s and early 70s, and the movies really do speak to those issues. So summary of the book, sense of what's going on at the time, and there will be clips from the movies as well. So if you're thinking about coming, and I hope
Yeah.
people are thinking of coming, it's not going to be a dry lecture. We're going to have some fun because I think that's important. And we have a film studies program here at Lewis, and I'll obviously mention that. And so we have courses. We have a course on the horror film, and we have one that I do that has adaptation involved. So students can get involved too.
Yeah, and that's over in St. Charles, correct?
Yeah, the lecture, yes. The lecture is 12 noon, St. Charles Borromeo Convocation Hall.
All right, excellent. And we have your copy of your
yeah.
book right here. Where can people buy it?
Well, you can get it on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. The University of Chicago Press is distributing it in the United States. You can get it through them. Those are probably the two easiest ways.
All right. Well, Dr. Mustafa, I want to thank you for being here on Good Morning Lewis with us.
Okay.
Tomorrow is Community Hour. Dr. Mustafa will be presenting his lecture, so go and tune into that. Blaxploitation, horror film adaptation, appropriation, and the Gothic. Your book is out now. Again, thank you for joining us. We'll be right back here on Good Morning Lewis. All right.
Well, that is it for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Good Morning Lewis.
Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.